Well, hi everybody. Al Bernstein here with another one of our boxing hangouts. Delighted that you joined us for what we think is going to be a very, very exciting and fun time. Yesterday we attempted to have Shawn Porter on, and we had some technical glitches, but worked them all out today, and so we're going to be visiting with him as well as Marcos Villegas, who's joined us again. First, I want to tell you that I was looking forward to this because this is a good opportunity to have Shawn on and really, in a long-form interview, have you get a chance to talk to him and see him and see kind of what kind of guy he is, and have him talk about his rise to the championship level, and it should be a lot of fun. First, let me welcome Dan Parks in. Dan, it is you're the man, of course, that set things up here, and we're happy that that we got this one worked out.
Absolutely. Thanks, Al, and thrilled to be able to have the champ in the house today. And I want to say again how impressed I was yesterday. He kept coming back and over and over trying to get back in, and it wasn't from a lack of effort, but we got it all worked out, and we got the champ in the house today. Yeah,
very good. First, let me introduce the gentleman who we're going to be chatting with today, along with Marcos, and that is Shawn Porter, IBF Welterweight Champion of the world, Shawn Porter. Shawn, how are you?
Way to get that right, Al.
I see your dad. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Just finished up another hard day of training. This is what I call peak week. So I'm just full of excitement and enthusiasm about, working hard and on the finishing touches. And, the fight is next weekend, the StubHub Center. So a lot of excitement right now.
That's perfect. Also, let me welcome Marcos Villegas in, who is, in addition to Fight Hub TV, his website is also a terrific correspondent on the boxing channel. Marcos, how you doing? Thanks for coming back again today.
Hey, Al. Hey, Shawn. How's it going, you guys? Glad to be back on
here. Shawn, let me start here by asking you a little bit about your entrance into the world of boxing and how you got to be a terrific amateur. You were a terrific football player in high school also, and probably could have gone that path. What was it that prevented you from going on with football even more than you did, although you were a terrific football player?
Yeah, I would say, long story short, just really taking a look at my future in both sports, and ultimately deciding that boxing being a one-on-one sport, depending on no one but yourself in the ring, I can control what goes on, and I can control my outcome as opposed to playing football, and you have to depend on 10 other players to do their job as hard as you're doing it, and putting forth that same effort. I ultimately just decided that boxing was the right route for me.
And then you of course became, you and your dad, who's there, who visiting with us, who you guys worked very hard to make your amateur career a very special one. Maybe both of you guys can comment on how that experience was for both of you to be bonded and going through all that when you were an amateur.
I'll go first. I would say my amateur career, all in all, was a lot of most and few down, but like you said, we made it through it. We just kept pressing, stayed ambitious, stayed relentless, and here I am now. I've had a lot of fun, tons of fun in the amateur program, traveling, meeting other fighters from other countries, joining teams with guys from around this country. So just a lot of fun, and definitely a lot of fond memories, and a lot of experiences that I'll never forget, some that I wish I could relive. But I am definitely blessed to be in the position that I am in right now, being an IBF champion. And, like I said, along with those ups were a lot of downs. And I'm glad that my dad helped me push through those downs because, it gave me the experience that I needed to get to the point that I'm at now.
How was that? Maybe they could comment. How did that work for you in terms of being there to support your son? And was that, how does that probably is something that kind of helps the father-son relationship in a way by being able to go through all that?
Well, I have to correct him. There were not a lot of downs.
There weren't too many downs. You mostly win almost all the time.
No. He's been successful at everything he's ever done, from his behavior at home to his grades in school to sports, and he's been able to do everything on a very high level. So there's always been expectations for him to continue with that. So, the situations that we encountered in the amateur program, it's a lot like a lot of different things that you encounter in life. When there's favoritism, when there's nepotism, when there's a certain, let's say, a certain cookie cutter that they're looking for to fit into a certain, fit an athlete into that mold of that cookie cutter, and this one doesn't fit in. You can't measure him by anything he does. But, if I told you when he was in high school he was running over 275-pound defensive linemen, it's nothing for him to run over 145, 155-pound man. You might look at that and say, oh, that's not the same thing. But when we put it in that perspective, when we train with that mentality, we can do those type of things. He does have that ability, you know what I mean? But there's certain teams, there's certain guys that we may box, and we'll use a certain type of strategy against them. That means we're not gonna come right at them,
Right.
So the things that we encountered, it was helpful in the growth, but mostly it was good. It was great experiences. People say, well, he had over 300 fights. Why'd you fight so much? He was winning. He was winning. There was absolutely no reason. There was no reason to. Right. There was no reason not to. And overall, the experience is traded. You shouldn't trade. It's not a short and concise answer, but
yeah, no.
Well, through this type of experience, you
yeah,
need this.
And I would think
it's needed.
Yeah, I would think it would be a fascinating experience just for both of you to go through, and anyone who's a parent understands doing that with their child and having them have to, even though, as you point out, Shawn won, virtually all the time. There's going to be setbacks, and there's going to be some things that don't work out perfectly. But you were talking about him as an overachiever, or as an achiever, maybe not overachiever, and clearly that's in his personality, and anybody that's around him could see that. So you became and we're going to get, by the way, we're going to get some questions from the fans in here in a moment or two, and Marcos. But you, as a professional, you matriculated through the professional ranks, coming down in weight, which is fascinating because you were a football player and you were higher in weight than maybe would have been appropriate in boxing, which was, very smart on you guys' part. Once you got down to that right weight, did that give you a really good feeling of confidence, Shawn, that you actually got right to the place where you were, in terms of your height and everything, you were in it seemed like the perfect spot to move forward?
Yeah, I would say the confidence came when the hard work that was needed to get to that weight, was put in, the preparation, and looking at my body in the mirror, how I looked, and also how I felt. I think those were the things that really, filled me with confidence, and gave me the confidence that, being at that weight was the right weight for me. I would say that, along with losing the weight and everything, you get in excellent condition and you feel, I feel like, unstoppable. I feel like, Superman or, a superhero. And I think that is where the confidence comes from.
Let me bring Marcos in. Marcos, you have a question or two for Shawn?
Yeah, you know what? With you, Shawn, talking about football and how how great of an athlete you were in football and making a transition over to boxing, is there ever a part of you that sometimes wonders and thinks like what would have become of you if you would have became a pro football player?
Not anymore. Obviously, when I decided to stop playing football, I still had a few more years before I turned professional. So along the way, I was always thinking of football and what I would be doing, football season and all that kind of stuff. But I think the success that I've had since I turned professional has waived any question that I may have had about football. And just so you guys know, I've played football and boxed my entire life, all the way up until I was 18. So it was never a situation where I was just a football player that decided to stop playing football and started to box. It's something that we've been working on forever.
Right.
So I've always been a very good athlete and was fortunate enough to just be very successful in different sports. And I definitely believe I chose the right sport.
Usually you see it being the other way around, where athletes are picking football over boxing due to just how tough and physical boxing is. But you did it the other way.
It's that's what's in me. I've learned that over the years. I'm 26 years old now, so I can say that I've learned that the tenacity that it takes to be a professional fighter, the hard work that it takes to be a professional fighter, the understanding the sacrifices that it takes, the discipline that it takes, the motivation that it takes, everything that it takes to be a professional fighter. I do have all that. And, like you said, a lot of fighters or a lot of people would have chosen the more fun and less energy exerting and hard sport to pursue. But honestly, ultimately, I really did think about it. I took a long time to think about it, and I understood the decision that I was making. I understood where it would lead me, and I'm so glad that I was blessed and able to get to where I always saw myself coming to when I decided not to play football anymore.
Let's get Dan. Let's get Dan Parks in here with a question from the fans. We had the fans put questions in before this. Dan, do you have a question for one of the fans for Shawn?
Absolutely, I sure do. Champ, one of our big followers, Errol Jarrett, he sent over a message. He's from EJ Boxing Live. He said, being from the UK, we over here know how hard Kell hits. What is your game plan to deal with Kell's powerful hands? And he said, before you answer, just know I have you winning by KO after 6. Good luck.
We should mention to folks that the Kell that he's referring to is Kell Brook, who of course will be the man that Shawn Porter will be defending his IBF title against on August 16th. Go ahead, Shawn.
Absolutely.
First off, I'm going to say up to EJ. I think I've spoken to him maybe once or twice over Skype. So hello to you, EJ, and thanks for the motivation to get him out of there in the 6th round. I am aware of the power that Kell possesses, and along with that, just to make this answer short and quick, my team, we have a game plan. We understand that if I stick to this game plan, we will be successful. We understand that I'm going to control this match. I'm going to control everything that happens in this match. I'm not going to allow him to be comfortable. I'm not going to allow him to do anything that he likes to do. So with that being said, if he likes to use power, I'll see it coming. I'll use my good defense, and I'll work around his power and make adjustments as we go along. But trust me, I am full of confidence for this fight. And I again, like I said, I understand that our game plans will determine the outcome of this fight, not his.
I asked you before, Shawn, when I had a chance with you about how interesting it is that how much a different dynamic that it brings to these fights. And we saw somebody from England, asking you a question. A different dynamic when you get to fight somebody internationally, when the world gets involved in the sport. That's kind of the charm of boxing, isn't it? That it makes this world so small.
Yeah, I love it. I love that this is a USA versus England type of deal here. I love that it's getting not just American fans, but it's also getting European fans to tune in, to come on over and watch and be a part of something special. When I get in the ring, I just always want that to be a special moment, not only for my team, but for everyone watching. So it is definitely a treat, a pleasure for me to get in the ring with Kell Brook being from England and adding that spice to this fight.
Now, this match, we'll talk about the Kell Brook match for a second. This year's set. Well, let's go backwards. When you won the title from Alexander, that was a fight in which you were probably the underdog in that fight. Alexander had been the champion. And I think what impressed a lot of people about what you did that night was that you were able to kind of take away from Alexander what he does best. How did you do that in that fight?
Without saying too much about how I fight, what I like to do, what I do, I will say that it's always a goal of mine to stop someone from doing what they like to do and what they're good at. It's a goal of mine because it presents a challenge to me, and I love a challenge. I understood that he uses good hand feet, and foot speed, and so my number one thing was not to allow him to do that, not to allow him to get into his rhythm and do what he likes to do and what he does best. So the same thing goes for Kell. I've learned Kell. I know what he likes to do, and he will not be comfortable by any means August 16th.
All right, and in your first defense, you beat up my broadcast partner, Paulie Malignaggi. It was very impressive because no one had been able to quite do that to Paulie. You know, he's a very tough guy who had not been stopped like that, and I think that alone gave people this feeling that you were really coming into your own as a kind of a powerful fighter.
I think what you guys saw. What was that, April 18th?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
What you guys saw when I fought Paulie was what we expected coming down to 147 pounds.
Yeah,
we expected to kind of just be very dominant.
Yeah.
For the sake of words, just be very dominant against anyone we got into the ring with. But again, along with coming down the weight, you have to make some adjustments. You have to learn yourself, learn your body, get better at your craft, and all that. So I would say, honestly, coming out and doing what I did against Paulie was just about where we expected or want to be at 147 pounds. So you will definitely see a little bit more of that.
All right. Well, this is going to be interesting. Dan, you got another question from the fans for Shawn?
Absolutely, absolutely. Jody Ankar wants to know, what is your roadmap to secure a fight with Floyd, and how would you fight Floyd if you get the fight? And then the second question is, if you don't get the fight, would you fight Thurman, and how would you fight Thurman?
Oh, good questions. Okay.
I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna answer what I can answer, and then I'm gonna let my dad jump in.
Okay.
I'll fight anyone else. It doesn't matter who it is. Go down the list, 1 through 10, I'll fight them. Because at my weight class, there's nothing but big fights there. So they're all big money fights and fights that the fans want to see. So that's number one. Number two, how would I fight Floyd? I wouldn't allow him to be comfortable. I'll do everything that it takes for him to be uncomfortable in that ring for round 1 through 12 or however long it goes. And I do think that I can beat Floyd. Two, I will fight Thurman, and I'll do the same thing with him. I won't allow him to be comfortable. I won't allow him to get into any type of rhythm. I won't allow him to do anything that he likes to do. That's what I like to do. I like to make you very uncomfortable. I like you to be hard. Makes every training session hard for me. That way the fight's easy. So with those two fighters, I would fight either one of them, and I do the exact same thing. I would just make them very uncomfortable and do whatever it takes to win those matches. As far as the roadmap, I'll let my dad answer that. I think he has a little better grasp of the business side of boxing than I do.
So for us, there is no roadmap. Floyd, I'm really not interested in chasing fighters around. It's been very hard. It's been extremely hard. Every people think, oh, well, he did Paulie. I've been trying to get Paulie since 2010. I've been trying to get Devin for over a year. 25 professional fights. It was hard to get Julio Diaz for the very first fight. Every fight we've had, the very first fight fell out. We had to get somebody else. Before that, he had 3 pro debuts that fell out. During his amateur time as an amateur, as he was growing up, I always had to pay coaches to bring their fighters in to fight him on amateur shows. In other weight classes throughout his career. So it's something that I'm interested in chasing the guy around to dictate everything he does and make everything perfect the way he wants it to be. It doesn't interest me at all. Now, Keith Thurman, Keith on the other hand, Keith is a guy that doesn't have a, he doesn't care. He just wants to get in there and he wants to fight. So that fight can happen. I see that one happening pretty easy, and then maybe after that, then maybe, the little boy down the street, that's what I call, because we live on the same street as Floyd. He's 1 mile away from us right now. Same street.
You guys are pretty close.
Yeah. I could throw a rock at his house. You know what I mean? Then maybe possibly the little boy down the street might want to take the fight. But, I have no interest in chasing anybody around who doesn't have an interest in fighting us because, like I said, I've been doing this with him for so long. You don't understand what it takes when you got a kid that's 14 years old and he stops everybody in the state, region, and nationals 2 years in a row. You can't get a fight to get ready for those tournaments.
Yeah.
You can't get one. So, there's a lot of things that, come along with, getting these fights and getting people to sign the contract. And if a guy like Keith is ready to jump in there and sign it, I know Keith personally, hey, let's make it easy on everybody that's involved. Easy. Make it easy.
That's a fight. That's a fight that fans would love to see. That's for sure. Two terrific young welterweights who have great skills and are at the top of their game, and that would be a fantastic fight. And by the way, don't throw rocks over there if those security cameras are on, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, we don't want that to happen to you. I don't live that far from you guys either, so I'll come by and help you if you really need a little help.
Not me.
Dan, another question from the. Let me go back to Marcos first. Marcos, you've been looking at Shawn Porter move in this welterweight division. We talked a little bit about the welterweight division. For you as a journalist covering this, when you look at the welterweight division, Shawn mentioned that every fight's a money fight in this division. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, it's because there's so many hard hitters in that weight class. And given the variables of who's in that weight class, any of those matchups would be interesting, and it would be one where it would make sense first off, but it'd also be one where on paper it would seem competitive, and we don't really know who would win based on a guy's what he brings to the table. So even like with Thurman, Maidana, Guerrero, like all those guys would make really interesting fights, not only because of what's on paper, but if you look at their styles, those guys that I mentioned like to come forward and fight, and Shawn loves to come forward and fight too. So it's a type of fight that would be fan friendly to us, and it would really make us think like, oh wow, like what's going to happen in this fight?
Yeah, for sure. And this is a time in the welterweight and junior welterweight divisions. It's really special for the sport. Dan, how about one more question from the fans here?
Absolutely, Al. Eric Bradley wants to know, and I think this is a great question because the rules have changed so dramatically. Do you have a sports specialist that analyzes the ingredients of like foods and supplements?
No, actually we don't. Whoever that is asking that question, if you have any experience in that, you can shoot us a email. No, I'm very serious. I'm always looking for information and education. If he has any information in regards to that, we've had some different things done over the years. Like we've gone into a blood specialist to find out the type of foods that that Shawn was taking in, and how those foods were metabolizing, what type of energy he was receiving from those foods, what type of proteins, whatever it is, and we've tried to increase things from that, but it's pretty much just a lifestyle that he's chosen to take on for over 2 years now, to just be able to stay within 12 pounds of all time year-round of this weight class. So with that being the case, we're always trying to get better at everything we're doing. I'm definitely interested in Listening to what someone has to say like that. We did talk to a guy who wrote a couple of books earlier this year, but he wanted a percentage of the purse. So I think that was just way out of line. It's like way out of line for someone to, we don't have a problem making weight. He's feeling good about everything he's doing. And we just want to try to get better at everything we're doing. So that Paulie Malignaggi fight, it was definitely a culmination of all the things that he's been doing to get to that point. And as he said earlier, there are adjustments to make when you're coming down in weight, when you're fighting in a lower weight class. You don't know how your body's going to feel in the 10th round. You don't know how your body's going to feel in the 12th round. You don't know how your energy level is going to be when you bring your body down to a lower class like that. So, using a lot of information, critical thinking, logical deduction, we've gotten this far. We continue to try to get enough information and continue to, improve what we're doing every day.
All right. Now, Shawn, you moving forward, you've got this Kell Brook fight coming up. One of the interesting things about this fight is that it's at the StubHub Center in California, a place that has now become the mecca for great fights in boxing. Is in a way, it's kind of probably interesting to go fight at this place where people have come to expect great fights now.
Love it. I don't think I've looked forward to fighting somewhere as much as I have been looking forward to fighting at the StubHub Center. First, obviously we live in Vegas. This is where we want to fight. That's every fighter's dream, is to fight at the MGM or out here in Vegas. So, obviously choice one was Vegas. We were hearing that they were going to do the fight at the Barclays Arena. And it's like, okay, I have history there. I fought there before. I won my championship there. Okay, let's go back. But, they X'd that one out and they said StubHub. And I said, StubHub? Let's go. I love that venue. I love every single thing about fighting over there at the StubHub Center. I've never fought there. I've been to about a half a dozen fights. They're all fun. There's no bad seat. The entertainment is great. There's a great California breeze when that sun goes down. And trust me, on August 16th, when those lights are on, it's showtime.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's very well put. Even though neither of you bring a base that you're not from that area or whatever.
I don't think it matters.
No, it doesn't. The fans are into good boxing, aren't they?
Yep, it's not going to matter. And matter of fact, I was at the Brandon Rios fight over the weekend. And not only did I have a lot of fighters, a lot of people coming up telling me that they were going to be at the fight, they were telling me what seat they had. And that was just a treat. It's a treat to, touch people with my hands in such a way that they get excited and really want to see me and see what I do. It's very humbling and it's been fun.
One of the things I'm glad we got a chance, and we're going to let you go here in a minute or two, but one of the reasons I'm glad we got to do a little more of a long-form interview was I get a chance to sit and chat with you at the fighter meetings, and we get a chance to be around you a little bit more. I wanted people to see a little bit more of your personality, you interacting with your dad, and all the rest of it. If you could tell fans one thing about you that they'd be surprised at or you would want them to know, what would that be?
Can you say that again?
If there was anything you wanted to tell the fans that either you think they might be surprised at knowing about you, or just something that about your personality that you think describes you perfectly as a man, what would that be?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much. There's really nothing out there that would surprise you about me. What you see in my post-fight interviews, any interview that I do, this is just me. It's who I am. I'm just blessed to be able to be myself in front of a camera or in front of people, and they enjoy that. I don't have to put on an act or anything like that. So it comes very natural and easy for me. If I had to describe myself in one word, I don't know. I was listening to this song by Heavy D and Levert on my way here. And the name of the song is Coolin'. And it says, I'm just cooling. And that's how I am. I have a very cool, calm personality. I'm always looking to have fun, make someone laugh, and feel good about themselves, feel good about life. So Anybody out there that is going through a hard time, just know that if you come to me, I'm gonna put a smile on your face.
That's great. Well, that's what you project, and one of you hit on an interesting thing there and I have to say, it's refreshing. I've covered thousands of athletes in boxing and in other sports, and it's always refreshing when somebody can just stand there in front of you and talk, and you don't feel like they're looking to fulfill a certain role. They're simply being themselves.
It's such a blessing. I don't feel pressured to do or say anything. And I'm always very honest in my interviews. You ask me something, I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's just me. I enjoy it, and I'm so glad that everyone else is receptive of it, and I don't have to put on a show or front or anything like that. I can just be myself and have fun with life and with these interviews and everything that I'm doing with this sport.
You approach them that way, which is good. Marcos, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just had a follow-up. We've seen with some fighters like Mike Tyson and Erislandy Lara, they have like odd hobbies. Like they enjoy pigeons. Tyson and Lara. I know Canelo and Mikey Garcia like to race cars. Is there a hobby that we don't know about that you have, or something like some odd field of interest that we don't know about?
Definitely movies. I think a lot of people out there have seen. I go to the movies a couple times a week. When it comes out, I'm there. I'm going to the movies when I get done with this interview. So I love movies. Anything else? Maybe cards. I'm a very strategical type of guy. I haven't gotten into chess in a very long time, but any type of word game, puzzle, Sudoku, Scrabble, all that kind of stuff. I love it. It presents a challenge, and man, I'll rip off a 50-point Scrabble word. You're like, dude, you're 26. How are you doing this? And I'm just like, I can see it, So
remind me never to play you in Boggle, right?
Puzzles. I love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Puzzles.
all right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Shawn, I want to thank you and your dad for joining us on this. This was a delight to be with you. Really fun to have you get a chance to chat with all the fans. We look forward to August 16th, next week actually, when we'll all be in the StubHub Center. First, I got to fly to New York to see Danny Garcia fight, and then we'll be there at the StubHub for your fight. But good luck, and hope you guys have a great rest of the training session.
Thank you very much. We're doing great. We are just about there. Have fun in New York, and we'll see you in Cali.
All right, take care. See you guys. Marcos, thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate you hanging in here for 2 days with us.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Fun as always, and I hope to do more of these things with you guys.
Yeah, we love having you on the Hangouts. It's great. All right, thanks, Marcos. Dan Parks. The fans did a good job with their questions, and you did a great job in setting this thing up. We're happy about it, and we have a very exciting hangout coming up next week, don't we?
Absolutely. August 12th, we've got the newest Hall of Famer of the UFC, Pat Miletich, and I am jazzed. I can't wait. It's going to be a really good one.
Pat is of course a legend in MMA, and a man I got to work with on a couple of different occasions on broadcasts of MMA, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So
it's really our first crossover. This is our first crossover hangout, and yeah, I think it's exciting. It's something we should be doing a little bit more of in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've said, you have a background in MMA, and I enjoy the sport a lot. And I've said all along, had a whole section in my book about it. That mixed martial arts and boxing. There's plenty of room in the tent of combat sports for both of them, and so many people from both sports appreciate the others, so it's not a big stretch. And Pat's a great guy, so we're going to have a fun time with him.
And how often do you get an opportunity to have a Hall of Famer from the two biggest Hall of Fames? We got the UFC and the Boxing Hall of Fame at the same time.
There you go. Who's the? Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Hey, listen, thank you very much, guys, and we will look forward to seeing all of you next week on our hangout with Pat Miletich. Take care, everybody.